ụlọ nsọ gị Chukwu ka ị na-abata, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Anya bịawa ịsọpụrụ gị ugbu a, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Chukwu nna n'ụlọ gị ka ị na-akpọ gị, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Otito na-adịrị gị mgbe niile, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya. Mamano, it seems like we're having a little bit challenges with Dibia UD is supposed to be in here at this moment to lead us in prayer, but he's going to get back with us in a minute as soon as he's able to work that out. Hello everyone, Mamano Ndewono. Ndewono, how are you all doing? And I'm praying that everybody's well. I'm okay, Dibia, Dr. Wanyo Hosemere, and I'm your host on Chiism Live. It is indeed my pleasure to be here. I hope everybody's doing well, all things considered. I want to have a positive attitude today, and we must do that. You know, there's so much going on in our world, and if we don't have a positive attitude, we're not going to get through it. Okay, this program is sponsored by the Global Faith Ministries of Chiism, which is a ministry of the Godian spirituality, founded by Ahaike Oke Onyoha, who has joined the ancestors over 10 years ago. Ahai, wherever you are, we know that you are watching over us, and you and Noah and all the ancestors are looking in on the thousands of you all around us. Let's see if our brother UD has gotten that sorted out and can join us now.
Can you hear me?
Dibia UD, are you okay?
Well, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Please proceed with your prayer.
My browser lost connection. I'm so sorry. Chukwubi ọma Chidi ebere ka ụzọ anyị niile ọbụla bụrụ ihe ka ihe ọbụla kpatara aka bụrụ sọ mma ụwa niile site n'ozi ọma anyị a nwesị obi aṅụrị taa na-ebighị ebi ọfọ ya gazie ise. All praises to Chi the Creator, the Supreme Being, Chi the Good, Chi the Magnificent, Chi the Merciful. May every way of our lives be light, and may all our acts be crowned with good, and may the world prosper from our ministry now and forever. So let it be. Amen.
And, and so it is. Yagazie. Welcome to the Dibia Round Table, UD. I'm so
Rough
glad you were
morning
able to
for me.
fix it. I know. Yeah,
Very rough. My browser lost contact, with my microphone. So I had to log off, log back in, and then try it again using a different browser. And thank God it worked out. So here we are. My apologies.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Welcome to the round table. I don't know what it is like where you are, but it is sunny. It is glorious out
It's a
here
beautiful
today.
day out here. Yeah.
So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to take a time after this, go for a long walk, maybe even ride my bicycle, keep that health up, keep the blood flowing like it's supposed to be.
I know. I'm going to do that myself because once I get back home, I got a ton of work to do. I might be up all night working on stuff, but
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dibia Ochwaja. Thank you for your wonderful prayer. And again, as I stated earlier, welcome to the round table.
Yes, let's go.
Somebody's calling me. Unfortunately, I can't tell him. I would also like to welcome to the round table, and if he has arrived, Dibia Dozier is supposed to be with us today, but sometimes, he has challenges with the internet service in Nigeria. Yeah. So we're going to wait and see when he will join us. UD, it seems like I have an emergency phone call, so I would like you to just hold 1 second. I'll be right.
Yeah, not a problem. Well, seems like Dibia has an emergency. So while she takes the phone call, let's talk a little bit about Africa for now, until she gets back, and then she will lead us with a topic for the day. Welcome everybody to the show, and I think she's back now, so let's go.
It wasn't such an emergency. She made it seem like it was an emergency. When your kids call, when they don't always
you
call,
gotta answer the phone. Yeah,
and then they call,
true.
And you say, "Okay, what do
they
want?
Nothing, right?
And just, "Hi, Mom." Oh, well, that's nice. Be grateful that they're calling you, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get into it, I would like to thank our viewers who are joining us today, and continue to ask for your support. Support this broadcast by subscribing to Chiism Live on YouTube, and follow us at Global Faith Ministries of Chiism on Facebook. I just want to start by asking you this very important question. Are you practicing our key spiritual tradition, pouring libations, etomai, pouring libations? Are you doing it? That is the key spiritual tradition of Chiism, pouring libations, welcoming the ancestors, most importantly, welcoming Chineke and the forces of nature that protect us. We can't be trying to do this journey all on our own. And that's why we always pour libations to bring forth the spirit of Chineke and also our noble ancestors. I did mine this morning, and there's nothing to me more glorious than being able to talk to the ancestors and ask Chineke for what I want this day to be. Not what the day actually is, but what I want it to be, because I have to set the tone. I have to direct my day. I have to be the one in charge of my day, because really, when we look around what's going on in our world, it's easy for you to lose control. It's easy for you to fall into the trap of fear, anger, and all of that. And that brings your blood pressure high. That does not serve you in any way. So in spite of what's going on, we have to be in tune with our Creator. The ancestors, we have to inhale and exhale and be reminded that we're not on this journey alone, even when it seems like all is going crazy, because right now it is going crazy. But I ask you to engage in this spiritual practice of libations, because it's a profound expression of self-respect, of respect for the ancestors, of gratitude, of connectedness, and emphasizing the importance of community. heritage and the spiritual realm in everyday life. Many of us start our day by just saying, okay, I'm going to work, I'm going here, I'm doing this. We get in the car, we start the car, we're off. We have not asked for protection. You must do that. You're not by yourself. Don't try and run your life by yourself. Sometimes you got to reach out to the spirit world to put their arms around you and guide your activities so that they can present, or rather prevent, things from happening to you once you get in that car, once you get your day going. And so I want to ask you right now, invite each of you, wherever you are, to plant yourself firmly in this moment. If you haven't poured libations, I welcome you to join all of us in this moment. I want you, wherever you are, take a moment to feel the surface that you touch, your seat, wherever you're seated, the floor beneath your feet if you're standing, the walls around you. Visualize your body's roots extending down through the space, through the carpet, concrete, or wood, reaching toward the water that is beneath us. Take a moment and get yourself together before you face the horrors of the world. As you breathe in, let's release the distractions and the chaos that accompany our journeys. Many of us we are all on this journey, not always individually, but together. We live in a world that kind of pulls us in all directions, but we need to pull together. We need to be focused. We need to be connected to the Most High, to the divine Chineke. We must visualize those distractions flowing into the water, leaving us clear and open to goodness, open to all the goodness that the universe has to offer, and not get us all tangled up in all the mayhem of the world. With our next inhale, when you inhale, let's draw in the beauty and nourishment of that water, embracing the diversity of people, ideas, and dreams that surround us. Yes, whether we know it or not, there's so much beauty around us, in spite of. And just like water, which seeps into every crevice, may we be fluid in our acceptance and understanding of one another, understanding of this world. I think this is why the world has gone astray, run amok, because we don't see the interconnectedness. We see ourselves as different, as separate. Black, white, purple, green are otherwise. We are one under the umbrella of Chineke. We are Ndife, children of light. We are interconnected, whether we like it or not. But because we see ourselves as separate from the spirit of Chineke, we antagonize each other, we kill each other, we hate each other. So we pour libations, a practice that's rooted in West African tradition, symbolizing that we are connected as a people. We are connected to those who came before us. When we pour libations, we invite the spirits to join us. We invite each other to acknowledge and honor our ancestors who wiped our tears, prepared our meals, and believed in us when we were unsure of ourselves. We pour libations for them, for their sacrifices, for their support. Pour libations wherever you are, whether you're exploring, impact investing, launching a startup, or preparing to present your ideas. Whatever you're doing, let us honor those who made it possible, who gave us this space, those who couldn't be here today, but they are realizing their dreams through us. So today I ask you, is it meaningful for you to pour libations, to acknowledge the ancestors, to acknowledge the Ndichis, to acknowledge Chineke, Olodumare, Tamonajinya, Mikatonda, Nyomi, Nkosi, Uvuzilele, Obasikenyo, Chineke, who has many names in different tongues? Is it worth it for you to acknowledge the presence of the divine? Yes, it is. It is meaningful. It is mindful. So as we pour out our ideas today, our dreams and our plans, let us remember who's holding us together within. wherever you are, if you use the water to pour libations, you leave a little bit in the vessel that you use to pour libation. And if you have guests who have come into your home, remember to give them water to drink. And we leave water for those who will come after us, a gesture of hospitality in our shared home. While we're here together on Chisholm Live, whether we are physically here present or not, I encourage you to contemplate your legacy. Will your name be remembered? Would we call your name today, as I'm going to call the names of my ancestor, and I ask you to do the same? Dr. Martin Luther King. You call out the names of your ancestors. There's so many of them, and those that we don't call, it's not because we don't love them. It's not because we want to forget them. It's because there are so many of them. We remember them spiritually. I hope you do the same wherever you are. Give reverence to those who made it possible for you to be here. And on that note, Yudi, what do we say? Ise,
oh,
Ashe,
oh,
so it is. And
yes.
so it is. I am so happy, so grateful to be here today. I am grateful for who we are bringing today to join us at the Dibia Round Table. Baba Kwame Osagyefo. I'm sorry, Kalimara, if I'm not saying it properly. Perhaps I should be honest, I'm just excited to have him here with us. Now, but before I bring him forward, you just don't, people like this, you just don't introduce them by saying, oh, welcome. You have to let people know who they are. You have to let people know who they are.
A great African.
And we have one of our greatest sons with us here today. And I am so happy to introduce him to you all. Baba Dr. Kwame Osagyefo Kalimara is a native of San Francisco. His formal education was with the institutions of the San Francisco public school system, San Francisco State University, University of San Francisco, and the African Institute of Theology. Kwame is a priest of Kaifu, Me, and Ezulia Danto. Petro writes, since the early 1970s, and ordained as an interfaith minister since the early 1980s, and he practices New African Vodun. Baba Dr. Kwame Kalimara is a New African revolutionary nationalist. He taught world history, early and modern African history at Morehouse College. He taught African diaspora and the world at Spelman College. Clinically, he has worked in the areas of substance abuse, domestic violence, HIV/AIDS, and other diseases in our communities. Baba Dr. Kwame Kalimara writes liberation and romantic poetry. In short, he is a servant of the people. Let me just say, he has a resume biography so long, there's no way we can repeat all of it today. So we're going to let him do so for us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Baba Kwame Osagyefo Kalimara. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good to have you with us. How are you, Baba? How are you? I salute your presence.
Well, thank you. I salute your presence. You asked me how I'm doing. Extremely busy. As you very well know, we're in hot and critical times. I know that you and your organizations aspire for peace. And unfortunately, the empires in the world make it very difficult for us to be able to really enjoy the love that ultimate reality, the creator, wants us to have. And so we have a hard fight against us, but the foundation of your work speaks to how much more energy we have to exert in our homes, our families, in our communities, and throughout the world. So our work is just a lot harder, but we have to have faith and a vision of that reality in which we aspire to.
Yes, yes. Thank you
Agreed.
so much.
Agreed.
And you know, I believe power begins from within. You know, many
Yes,
of us are just, you know, we've been broken. Many of us are broken because we don't believe that that power is still with us. So we move around our world looking for a savior, where we are the saviors we're looking for.
we are the
You
Savior.
see, and
Yes.
if we work together, if you have all those saviors, so to speak, working together, you carry a powerful punch. So we need to look to us and look to our ancestors, look to our Chineke, to the divine. We still have the power to move these, whatever it is we're trying to move, you know, we still have that power. So anyway, we brought a powerful person to our midst today. So we are
Yes,
so
we did.
grateful to have you. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And can you just share your personal journey and what led you to embrace the faith, the Ifa faith and the Vodou faith?
Let's see. I believe that it was something that was part of my contract coming into the earthly realm. I say that to say that around between 5 and 8 years old, I had a consciousness of the abnormality that existed in some of the communities in which I would frequent as a child. I was born and raised in San Francisco, California. My grandparents attended the Seventh Day Adventist Church. There were other various institutions, religious institutions in my neighborhood, Baptist, Presbyterian, Pentecostal, Catholic. And one of the things that I'd always saw was the fact that there was hunger, imbalance. I saw that people really had, in some cases, to do illegal things just to be able to survive. And some of the stories from the Christian Bible talked about the sacrifices of the anointed Christ. And there were, in the schools I went to, they talked about some of the Greek mythology and how Atlas carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. And somehow that seeped into my consciousness. And between 5 and 8 years old, I would go to the community asking these various religious leaders, how can we create peace? What can we do? Why must people die to in an effort just to receive and enjoy the benefits of the bounty of what ultimate reality our Creator has provided for us? I mean, when you was speaking earlier about the water, right now I'm looking at the trees. I'm looking at and listening to the birds sing. How come we can't enjoy that and create balance? And anyway, the
Yes.
point I wanted to make is they never could answer the question to my satisfaction. None of them could. And so I began to feel the weight of the world, and I began to say, well, I'd give my life if as a sacrifice to make things better. And I began to seek more. I went to San Francisco State College at that time. It was the place of the where the first Black Studies and Ethnic Studies program on a predominantly white campus. And the owner of Marcus Bookstore, Dr. Ray Richardson, was one of my teachers, and she shared with me things about Haiti. She turned me on to C.R. James's book, The Black Jacobins. And one thing that I noted is that at that time in college, that those people who were communists who studied Marx and Lenin, they tended not to look at the faith traditions as something, they looked at faith traditions as something that was in contradiction with creating revolutionary change. And C.R. James pointed out the significance of the Haitian Vodou religion in terms of it galvanizing the African enslaved population and the indigenous enslaved population, and created a national identity, the Haitian identity. And I said that given C.L. James's contradiction with religion and spiritual conditions, this is a quote faith path that I have to look at. I have to go ahead and say there's something here, and so therefore I began to look at it and began to understand its cosmology. That ultimate reality has many aspects, and it was given to me in initiation that my aspects were that of Irli Dantor and of Kafumet. Irli Zur Dantor is a feminine Loa or deity. I think most people who are part of the Yoruba tradition would use the term Orisha. In any event, she was the fierce defender of women and children, but she was also the mother who was called in a ritual in Bakema, Haiti, which was August the 14th of 1791, and there was a black pig that was sacrificed, and the Haitian Revolution was on. And I should say this: the Mambo or woman priest who opened up and gathered all of the enslaved Africans to Bakamont. I should say this too. It is Bakamont means the alligator swamp. And in the Americas, we have the Great Dismal Swamp and some of the other swamps where obviously the slave owners, if you will, or owners of enslaved Africans would not want to venture. And anyway, I wanted to point out that Cecile Fatima was the one that organized that. Now, I mentioned that to say that too often we hear about the men leaders, but we're silent when it comes to the women leaders who led. There are many historians who will talk about Boukman Duty as being the supreme commander, who was from Jamaica, who was there and lost his life in battle. They'll mention him, but were silenced on Cecile Fatima. And in fact, it was she who said, "You will be the supreme commander." All I'm really trying to point out is that part of my spiritual walk is an acknowledgement that women have to be front and center in balance with the men, and that part of my spiritual path is to argue against patriarchy. Part of my spiritual path says that although I follow and look up to the power of the sacred and divine feminine, the reality is that the balance is what we have to strive for. And so therefore, one of the things that I find about Haitian Vodou is that a mambo, a female priest, has just as much power as the Ugan, the male priest. And so it fit well within my paradigm. I believe that God, ultimate reality, is Bayun. both feminine and masculine. So all I'm saying is that it fit very well. As you've indicated, I practice New African Vodun. That means, in many respects, my faith tradition is eclectic. Um, I use a little bit of all of the traditions. Anything that is gives some guidance to help us liberate our people, so we can be have the free exercise of human rights. That is what I look and what I practice. So I've read the Bible. I have read the Quran. I've read most of the world traditions and philosophies, and I use whatever is necessary as a tool in terms of ritual and being able to pass on messages. And so, if you venture to, if you're a Christian, for example, I will point out some of the things that the preachers in their churches don't practice because they want to maintain control. So I said, here's a treatise that you can look at. Here's a treatise you can look at. Here's a treatise you look at. In fact, even more recently, I pointed out to some people John Mbedi's work just on the issue of the ancestors and the Sasa and the Zamani, things of that nature. So all I'm really trying to say is that I find that as a practicing activist organizer, I must use my spiritual traditions as well as my organizing skills. We live in a material world and a spiritual world, and both of what I do has to be centered on the vision that African people, as well as humanity, because if we look at it, we understand the DNA. The reality is everybody on the planet is African. We just have to have some cousins who tend to not recognize that and who wish to erase that recognition based on jealousy, as well as perhaps scarcity. What I mean by scarcity, I'm really trying to say is that if I look at the works of Dr. Sheikh Anders Diop, he wrote a book called, I think, The Cultural Unity of Black Africa, where he mentions that the southern cradle, Africa, had a good climate, had things that would the sharing, if you will, the we, if you will. It takes the entire village to raise the village. All of those African proverbs that acknowledge the collectivity in our African worldview. I'm not saying we didn't have any contradictions. All I'm really trying to say is that all was, I would argue, just there was a lot more peace and harmony within our communities. Diop argues that in the northern cradle, Europe, you had environmental conditions that were challenging, and so there was scarcity. And so he tends to argue that that scarcity created aggression, and if there's some scientific proof to be able to support that, all I can say is that they've created a culture to where they want to dominate, and that we're witnessing that domination even right here in America, in terms of really trying to erase our contributions, erase the knowledge of our ancient and current sheroes and heroes. So I guess, in a word, to answer your question, my spiritual path and my political path are in accord, and that's my life's work, to be able to go ahead and be a contributor, so that my ancestors will be proud of me, and that they'll be proud of the seeds that I plant in the various communities in which I interface. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yudi, you want to comment on what you've heard thus far?
Yeah, first of all, I want to just give a beautiful welcome to our guest today. I met you when we had an event in Wisteria in Snellville, And
Yes.
you know, it was just great to speak with you. So happy to have you on our show. You had said something about being able to tap into different spiritual traditions or philosophies in terms of how you build your own, you know, spiritual self, and being able to operate, you know, regardless of which philosophy you put your hands on, but gleaning something from it, you know, and then projecting something that is very fruitful. It's really a beautiful thing to listen to. It reminds me of an opinion, or probably a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois, where he says that unity, you know, will come to the African community when each group, you know, gives up a part of its own culture for the good of the whole, right? So instead of this insistent that you have to do or embrace certain spiritual traditions, and in this particular case, African spirituality, because it's very diverse, you know, as a matter of fact, when you look at voodoo, right, and or Vodun, and you look at Chiism, Guardianism, it's so similar, you could barely tell the difference, right?
Yes.
And we also, part of African spirituality, and this cuts across every African demographic, sub-Saharan, per their definition, Black Africa, we believe in the duality, right, of the Supreme Being in terms of its spiritual essence, male and female. As a matter of fact, the name for the creator in my language is Chi na Eke. The Eke is the and. The Chi is the male. Eke is the female. Chi na Eke, male and female. That's what God is. And we encoded that in the name that we gave God. So the word or the name Chineke literally means male and female essence of the creator. So there's no separation of it's a man's world, it's a woman's world, because we understand, just like in everything in our spiritual and physical existence for the most part, is dual. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 lungs, hearts, ventricles, all that stuff, same thing. Without the male, there's no female. Without the female, there's no male.
Yes.
It's not even interchangeable. It's not. It's just what is. The male exists because of the female, and the female exists because of the male. Without either one of them, nothing is possible.
Nothing is possible. Yes.
Not in the animal world, not in the plant world, not in anything. The only place that is possible is if you have a being that is asexual, like the amoeba or the paramecium, right? Their sexuality is contained within. They just spawn from within like cells. That's what they are, single cell organisms, and they just expand just like that, right? But to be spiritually fulfilled, you have to be able to understand, number one, the commonality within our own African spiritual practices and the general spiritual practices of the rest of world traditions, because in the end, we all really are after the same thing, right? Most people that believe in a creator believe that God does the same thing in every religion. There's no religion that says that God has this much power and this religion says that God has this less power. They all believe that the creator is the ultimate.
Yes.
So the question has never been about who believes, because most of us do if you believe in a creator. And most world religions do believe in something that created everything. It just didn't happen. We believe in something. So if you believe in something creating everything, then you have to agree that the problem is not belief in God, but rather how do you get to God? And you mentioned that in your opening, dialogue, right? There's more than one way to get to the creator. There's more than one way to get from point A to point B. Now I could go left, right, center, curl around, bam, and right there, point C. That's where I'm going. I could go from point A straight across to point C, which is an African spiritual philosophy. Anyway, direct relationship with the creator without passing through any medium. From me to Chineke, there is no difference. No difference at all. My communication with the Creator is direct. I don't need a middleman. I don't need Muhammad, Jesus, but I don't need nothing.
Yes. Yes.
Because in African spirituality, and same thing with Vodun, we believe in my culture, Madu Buchibe, you are God to your fellow human being because all God's blessings flow through somebody. If I need $100 and I pray about it, trust me, if it fell from the sky, it's a miracle. And that almost never happens. Life is about coincidences. It just is what it is. Miracles, there's something responsible. It might look like a miracle to you.
Yes.
Because of the impossible nature of it or the difficulty. But trust me, scientifically speaking, there's a reason that it happened. That's why, personally speaking, and in African spirituality, and you all could research this, there's no difference between religion and science. It's one and the same.
Agreed. Agreed.
It's the same thing. My father was at the United Nations with some scientists and philosophers and all that. And they were having this, academic conversation about creation. And the scientists were talking about the Big Bang theories and all that. And, the idea of creation is not scientific, it's not possible. My father asked one simple question. Okay, let's go along with what you're saying. Can you prove to me that God, that the Creator, was not responsible for the Big Bang? Can you prove it? Since you're so scientific, prove to me with your science that God wasn't responsible for the Big Bang. And while you're at it, explain to me how the Big Bang happened. They can't. You can talk about hypotheses and all that. You can say, oh, it's a Big Bang. Fine. Explain the Big Bang. Oh, the atoms exploded. What caused it to explode? Explain that. Explain to me what caused the atom to explode. Okay, we know scientifically the atom will explode and electrons bouncing off. Fine, I agree with you. Now, explain to me that God wasn't responsible for that atom splitting, because you still can't explain to me why that atom split. Now, you could tell me it hit this and bounced here and this exploded. Why? And until you explain that to me, you cannot tell me that God was not responsible for the Big Bang. So it's all about
yes.
It's about narrative, right? Whoever has the gold makes the rules, or whatever.
Yes,
yes. Whoever wins the battle of the narrative controls everything. So if you believe that God has two heads, it's because somebody said that over and over. You believed it because it was repeated until, as far as you were concerned, God can only be seen from your own perspective. And that's the problem with the world today. Yes. So thank you very much for clearing that up and letting us know that you are able to glean things from different religions or spiritualities or points of view to make up the totality of your spiritual engagement so that we can all love one another.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Yudi. That was wonderful.
We appreciate your teaching. We appreciate your teaching.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes,
that was
indeed.
great.
Yes, indeed.
Your opening speech,
I want, Baba, I want to ask you a few questions. And I'm going to start by sharing if a chiist is praying, what they believe. And then you tell me how that fits with your spirituality as a traditional African spiritualist, right? It's kind of emphasizing even a little bit more on what Dibia Yudi said, bouncing off what he said, and then have you tie African spirituality together. If you're a chiist and they ask you, what do you believe in? What do you worship? We say we worship God of nature. We don't believe in the doctrines of man.
Yep.
The stars, the sky, the moon, and all the heavenly hosts show us who the Creator is. How come our lives, our growth and our death, what God kept us until the missions came?
Yeah.
God of our race, God of our experiences, God of the nature, show us clearly who God is. Nature is the same thing all over the world. We all die. We are born, we grow, and we die. The animals did not eat Adam's fruit. Their death follows nature's plan. So from now onwards, man can't deceive me.
Yep.
The world was made by Chineke, not by man. And we find Chineke in nature, in the hills, in the lands, and in the vales, and the rivers, in the oceans. All these natural phenomena show us who God is, because it's through them that we receive the blessings of Chineke. How does this differ from Vodun? Does it?
Voodoo is a recognition of nature. When we practice our faith in the traditional way, we do not have shoes on. Our feet are on the earth. The earth feeds us. The earth tells us what it needs for us to do to honor her.
Yes.
Right now, I'm in my truck because I have a meeting that I have to go to at 11 o'clock. To my right and to my left are birds' nests. They are teaching tools, but they are recognition of what lessons that the birds can teach us as human beings in terms of birthing as children, nurturing as children, and being able to say, all right, it's time for you to be an adult.
Yes.
I do divinations, lunar divinations and annual divinations. Some of my messages come from nature, from how the trees and the wind blow, or how the rivers or the creeks flow, or how the stillness of the lake. Or I might see, for example, a buzzard that has accepted an offering, or how the wolves or some of the animals congregate.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is that all that is ultimate reality. But if we are truly spiritual, we can interpret what the living can teach us and what we learn from it. The trees, for example, have in their root system have a way of communicating with one another and how they support one another. I guess a word I was really trying to say is that it's all connected. If I hug a tree, it has a symbiotic relationship with me. Any negative energy that I might have begins to eliminate from my body because it wants to create balance. All I'm really trying to say is that we have a responsibility as stewards of nature, and we have responsibility. The animals have responsibility. The trees and vegetation have responsibility. All I'm really trying to point out is it's all connected, and that's what Vodou understands, is that it's all connected, and we have responsibility to do our part in terms of maintaining and creating nature. We know that right now the planet is off balance, and it's imbalance is a result of
sorry, man.
people.
I'm in a program.
Its imbalance is as a result of the populations of the planet that are greedy and wish to use its resources for the benefit of the now and not even thinking about the future. And all I'm saying is, in terms of answering your question initially, is this: is that Vodun believes in being a part of the grand design of ultimate reality, and that is we are to be in harmony with everything on the planet. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And that's usually the argument I make with other people. It is not about where you're going to go when you die. It's not about you being more sacred than the animal world kingdom. It's about you fitting in with what is. You didn't create
Yes.
all these things.
Yes.
So you can't discount the importance of anything out here. You have to learn to live amicably with nature. But what we're doing is we have this false notion of superiority as humans,
Yes.
that we have
Yes.
no problem destroying nature, destroying animals. We sometimes, we don't even we step on an ant and not think nothing of it.
Yes.
We cut
Yes.
down a tree and not think nothing of it. But all those things are all part of nature, and we must honor them. Now, unfortunately, sometimes the world views our
Yes.
position as prehistoric. We are too far in the past. We don't understand. They put everything in a book and say, you must read this book. And if you understand this book, then you understand God. No. If you don't understand that nature is part of the equation, then you don't understand. I don't care what your book says. How you treat your fellow human beings, how you treat nature, everything that comprises of nature, that's how you tell me you honor the Creator.
Yes.
Because you didn't create these things. If you indeed believe that nature was created by the divine, by a divine presence, then you must honor all that was created, not just you. When you look at it, we are just a speck in the whole scheme of things.
Yes.
I mean, if we were so powerful, why do we run from the lion? Why do we run from the snake? You understand what I'm saying? You just
Yes,
stand
I
there and
do.
tell them I'm human. But we do understand when the situation presents itself, we are just part of nature. And just like every other nature, everything else in nature tries to escape from, don't want to be prey, we don't want to be prey either. That's why when we see a lion, we run. We don't say, hey, listen, I'm human. Don't you dare attack me. Do we do that? We don't. We run. You see a snake. Ah! People scream when they see a snake. Why are you screaming for? You're human after all. Because we internally, we understand we are part of nature and we must work with nature. Because if we don't, if you stand there and try to talk to that lion, you will be meat, dinner, lunch, or whatever he chooses. So we need to get out of the habit of thinking. And I'm so glad that you're here today. And quite frankly, that is one of the things that makes me happy when I meet people who see and acknowledge that nature is part of the design. We're just a part of it. And we must honor the Creator by also honoring that which is next to us, that which we every day when we stand on. And something else you said that I really, before you go, I know you have somewhere to go at 11. But I just wanted to throw this in appreciation, because there are individuals who have drawn the conclusion that women are irrelevant. Women should listen to the male and not say anything and go along. Well, I just want it to be known that without, just like Dibia Yudi said, without a woman, you have nothing. And without a man, you have nothing. We have to coexist. There's a proverb that Igbos say, Onyo tuokpa adige chemba. That means a one-legged man cannot go into battle with a two-legged man. Those communities that incorporate the skills of every citizen, they do better than those who are focused strictly on just one gender doing everything. So that means you're not tapping into all your legs. You're not tapping into all the minds available. You're just going along with you. UD, I saw something that you sent, and I thought I would comment on that today.
Yeah.
Baba, there's a video that's going around and it's showing that African children are extremely brilliant. And it shows all these young men who are achieving tremendous, tremendous things all over the world. Nigerian kids, right? Superseding, I mean, absolutely killing it.
Destroying everybody.
But do you know what, Baba? They did not show, they didn't show a single female.
Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't show, they showed all these brilliant males, but they never showed.
And they had some girls that were so sharp, man, so smart.
If they had just tried, they would have seen girls killing it even more, doing amazing things in the world. But that is that mentality, that spiritual mentality that says males, males, males. But then you're like I said earlier, you're hopping around on one foot and leaving the other leg elsewhere.
Yeah, let me say this too. I mean, when you mention that, we go back to the African liberation movements. All we see is the so-called founding fathers of the Pan-African movement. And you also have to really dig and study to find the foundation was built on the work of the women. And it's and what I tell my students is that we have to be very critical whenever we see that. We cannot allow the imbalance representation and presentations to persist. We want our young people, the seeds that are coming up behind us, to be able to see the balance and how important the balance is and how significant the balance is. Last night, I was at a program where I spoke, and one of the things I said was, and this is tied to peace, revolution ain't happening without women. We have to understand that, we have to honor that, and we have to show it, but we have to speak it. So what I tell folks every time, I says, we have to honor and acknowledge the divine feminine. And let me just say this too. During Africa's period of matriarchy, what I can say is that there was a lot more peace, balance, and harmony. When patriarchy took over Africa as well as the planet, that's where we're seeing chaos right now. And I'm hoping that any remarks I've made are understood and read with the clarity, at least which I feel my spirit is trying to convey. And that is, we have to really look deep and work hard on loving ourselves, understanding that we must create balance within our own physical bodies, and use that as a light for other people to follow.
Yes, absolutely. And just one more thing before you leave. UD, do you have a question for him? Because I have one I need to ask him before he leaves.
No, just more of comment, to know the people such as Dr. Kwame, out here, putting up a good fight and trying to do what we all know is the imperative of a Pan-Africanism, which is umoja, idinotu.
Yes,
we have to see relevance, in things that are African. We have to behave and act like there's something about us that is worth flaunting to the rest of the world. We need to get off this mindset of borrowers, borrowing everything, borrow God, borrow clothing, borrow philosophy, borrow everything, forgetting that the world existed before man did. In
Yes.
other words,
Yeah.
humanity
Yes.
would not exist without the guy from Central Africa in the desert, in the Kalahari, that birthed humanity.
Yeah.
That's where it all came from. So to see you grace us with your presence on our show just gives me hope that hopefully, as we move on, we will continue to attract dynasms such as you on our show to help educate people of African ancestry. Because education is a course induction and cultural promotion and instigation by which one is forged to fit squarely into the society he or she belongs as a responsible citizen. So perhaps such dialogue will continue to enlighten us all.
The DNA says everyone on the planet came from one African woman.
Yes, sir.
DNA, one African woman.
That's where it started.
That's it. You just said it. I was just going to ask you, what is the last? I was just going to ask you, what is one message you want everybody to leave here with? And you just said it. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We are all one from one parent. But Baba, I know wherever you go in this morning, they are going to have an earful, something to take home, to nurture their spirit, and something to make them think about the importance of embracing oneself and history. And so it is. Yagazie, as we say. We wish you well.
And I mean that, Dr. Kwame, I mean that for real. Thank you so much.
Pamoja tutashinde. Together we will win.
And so it is. And so it is. Yagazie. Oh, that was wonderful.
That was beautiful.
That was wonderful.
Nice.
That was wonderful. And let me tell you, I just want to tell you what I love about what we heard today. It just confirms what we've known about African traditional religions. We have so much in common. We have
so much of it.
So much in common.
So much.
Much of what we talk about is what we talk about. Unity is paramount.
That's it.
Unity is paramount. And self-education. Educate yourself. Man, know thyself, it is said. Know yourself.
Right now. We're too ignorant.
There's an Igbo proverb. There's an Igbo proverb that says, when you know who you are, then you know where you're going. If there have been pitfalls in the past, you don't fall back in it. You know what has happened, and you know the direction you must go now. African people should stop allowing people to demonize your spirituality. It's such a healthy, natural spirituality. Natural.
Oh, by the way,
let me finish myself. It's not based on what people said. It's really, quite frankly, based on what you see. It's based on what's around us. It's based on nature. Remember, Dibia Yudi, it is through nature that we are fed. The food that we eat doesn't come from a book. Hear what I'm saying? What we eat does not come from a book. It comes from nature, the earth, the plants, the seeds, the fruits. Everything we eat comes from nature, not from a book. So while we're so busy worshiping a book, we forget to actually give thanks to the divine for all these wonderful things in nature that is given to us to nourish our bodies and nourish our spirits and nourish each other. Like you said earlier, if you want anything, it comes from another human being. I don't care if you ask for $100. I don't care what you ask for. If somebody else doesn't give you a job or give you that money. Judy, before you say something, I know you have something that you want to say. I was with grandson. We came from a restaurant, and when we came to the stoplight, there's this really elderly gentleman, right? And he's standing there in the cold. I felt so bad. Why should an old man be standing there in a country full of money, begging for scraps? Generally, you know what you start looking for, your dollar here. No, honey, I just pulled out $20, and maybe that's not a lot of money, but that's what I had. I just gave it to him. And he chased my car as the light, he was chasing my car to say thank you. I said, oh, You don't have to. You don't have to say thank you. That's what I must do, because his blessing came from me, and I was directed by the Most High to bless him, not for him to run after me to say thank you. No, I just did my job. You understand what I'm saying? And we need to be so interconnected for us to find this Amarachi, the state to ever achieve the state of Amarachi. We have to do God's work, Chineke's work, by helping others, by doing the right things, by not killing people, by doing them. You cannot find, we can never be wrapped in Chineke's truth if we're doing all these things.
Yeah, it's unfortunately
killing people, not thinking about it. I mean, I don't want to really, where I'm going, UD, and I do know our hearts think alike.
Yep.
When we kill people and we don't think,
because you don't consider them humans.
When you kill somebody and you think, okay, when I get rid of these people, then I am going to gain this and gain that. What thing you have already done is you've lost Chineke. The divine is no longer in your corner. You may think you get away with it, but one day, if you're lucky to become if you're lucky, you'll become an ancestor. But if you do bad things, that's not your destiny. Yeah. You're one of those that will come back as a stone. You're one of those that will come back as a tree stump, a dead tree stump. You're one of those that will come back as a lower animal that people step on. Something we shouldn't do, but given what you've done, that may be your luck.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to say something.
No, just I kind of lost my train, but it just kind of came down to, we talked about gleaming things from different religions and all that stuff. Of course, we restrict it to African spirituality. And then if you go beyond that, you start thinking about world religion. What exactly are they trying to accomplish? We're all trying to do the same thing. So in terms of what we're trying to accomplish is the same. The difference in philosophies and naming conventions and religion and all that is just about the process of supplication. It has nothing to do with whether you believe in Chineke or you don't believe in Chineke. But here's what I'll say, and I say it with conviction, based on experience, based on information that is readily available in your textbook and also in on the internet. There's a sickness in this world that has been around since the dawn of, quote, human civilization. And I've always, as a young person, felt that we evolved as time went on, the BC, before Christ, supposedly, the dating, and AD after, and we went from just walking, hunters and gatherers, to discovering fire, to discovering inventing the wheel, and life kept improving, and we tamed horses and dogs, and we started to ride horses and attach the carriage to it because we invented wheels, and now we can move a bunch of stuff, a whole family, people at the same time. And from there we got into the carriages and then cars, and next thing you know, we didn't depend on the boat to sail across the oceans anymore to find out some, people beyond our own borders. We could fly and do all this stuff, and you think that the world has gotten better in terms of humanity, education, and relationship. And what I found out was we just, as humans, at least in the Western world, all we ever tried to do was get advantage over somebody else using science so that we could, stomp all over them, take what belongs to them, enslave them, colonize, do whatever. And that mindset by the West or the European forced other nations like China, India, and now Africa to try to keep up, do better, defend themselves, because if you don't, you will be swallowed up. The sickness goes beyond the economic temptation of getting people's resources. Then we'll talk about sex trafficking all over the world, young boys and girls just disappearing, especially homeless. Then you're going to find out that some of these wars were started because somebody up there who makes the decisions also is involved in organ. It's big business. How much you think a good heart will fetch you in the black market? You destabilize communities and kidnap children. I was watching a video with the Ukraine war. And they were talking about what some of these people were doing, the soldiers. They were interviewing soldiers, where they will march 2 to 6-year-old children into warehouses and slaughter them like pigs and get all their organs. You wonder, why is the world nuts? What is this about Western greed that is destabilizing everything? Somebody's got to say it. I mean, if my life doesn't make a difference, in anybody's life for the better, then I'm not worth being spared to live and walk amongst everybody else. The world is sick, and this sickness is devilish, man. And when I say devilish, I mean it's evil. It goes beyond money. It now becomes about what you can do with that money in the dark. Sex trafficking of young boys and girls, organ harnessing, going into other countries maliciously, just doing anything. And it's been going on for over 1,000 years. After all, the Europeans were killing each other till they found out they could kill somebody else. They went on to Africa and South America. They went on to Asia, India, China, Japan, where culturally they had no successes over there. But they were able to get their hands for a while on the minerals, and even subjugated the indigenous people into forced labor. There's a sickness that we really need to pay attention to. The whole world is sick. Africa is sick, very sick. The miseducation of the African. There's nothing African about the African. Your God is not African. Your religion ain't. You don't go to work dressed like an African. Most of the time, you got to have your suit, you look Western. You have judges in Africa with their black robe and their white wigs on, looking like a bunch of masquerades. And yet, if I put on a masquerade, African masquerade, and show up as a lawyer or a judge, I'll be fired. But you could dress like a European masquerade in your white outfit and your wig, looking like freaking Dracula. And yet it's okay. But let me do it African style. Oh, no, it's a problem. We've now demonized ourselves. And this is just not an African thing. Every country or continent that was colonized by the European, they hate themselves. And those people that were able to figure it out are very successful now, like Indonesia, who now decided that being Indonesian was more important than being Muslim, than being Christian, than being Buddhist, than being whatever. You're Indonesian first. Maybe Africans should learn from that. Be African first. Umoja, Idinotu, unity. That is the key right here. When we're able, like W.E.B. Du Bois said, when you're able to give up a little bit of yourself for the good of the whole, for the good of the whole. That's true Pan-Africanism. Giving up a little bit of yourself for the good of the whole is Governor Oti of Abia State. Giving up a little bit of yourself for the good of the whole is Thomas Sankara, is Ibrahim Traore, are the Sahel governments. practicing true Pan-African way of thinking. Communalism. The community comes first before the individual. That's African. This thing about the individual coming before the community, how rich I get personally, how big my house, my cars, how many women I could run, how much money I could waste in Vegas or wherever else I go and waste money. That's Western ideas. It has infected indigenous people. So we now operate the way they do and think that we're going to be accepted and respected by them. No, because for as long as you act like you have nothing about you worth flaunting to the world, you're always going to be disrespected when the interest of the European is at stake. They rally around their culture, Christianism. That's what defines the European. Even though they're French, Scandinavian, Polish, British, Irish, Scottish, Italian, but they're Europeans, and we recognize them because of their Christianity. If you're Japanese, you're recognized, not because of video games and because of Toyota. That's economics. You're recognized because you're Shinto. That's what makes you Japanese. Toyota, Mazda, and Acura don't make you Japanese. It's Shintoism. India, the same thing. It's the Hindu and Sikhism that makes you Indian. So when the interest of the Indian is at stake, when their national interest is at stake, they rally around Hinduism, their national spiritual philosophy. But what do we do as Africans? When our interest is at stake, what do? We rally around the same doctrines and philosophies that justified our enslavement and colonization in the first place. Zombies. Miseducated. We do not recognize our ancestors, not even in our educational system. Do we even care what contributions our leaders made to free us? We spent half the time in the 60s and 70s getting rid of the same leaders that fought for our independence in the first place, like Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara. We got rid of them ourselves. We just had our colonial masters right there. The same people that continually take away your freedom. Mentally infected with Stockholm syndrome, that you're now praising the guy who held you hostage just because he fed you lunch, even though he had a gun to your head, but it was nice enough to at least give you lunch so that you don't starve. But you still got that gun to your head. That's the black man and woman. That's the African. We still haven't learned anything. We operate on the narrative that our colonial master and our enslavers put out there. All of a sudden, we look at ourselves as less than. Self-hate. We hate our women. The women hate our men. Sometimes you listen to black men or black women talk about each other. It just blows your mind. Everything based on the way we were defined by our colonial masters and our enslavers. We see no value in our women. We see no value in our men. Some women will tell you, well, if he ain't paying my bills, I ain't messing with him. Well, really? What you doing for me as a man? That's my question to you, since you want me to pay your bills. We just ain't paying attention to what's going on in the world right now. And we're in a very bad place, people. And this is a straight up message to people of African ancestry. It's time to practice that umoja. This is really the time now for us to be Africans, for real. Whether you're Jamaican, be African. Whether you're African American, be African. Whether you're Nigerian, be African. You're British, be African. It doesn't really matter where you come from. If you're black, you're African. It's time we recognize that, and not just recognize it because of where we come from and our skin color. We need to recognize it in our spirituality and religion, because all human systems are products of religion. Once your God doesn't look like you anymore, you're finished. You're done. You will never develop. Once you go to school and you learn nothing about your ancestors and those that came before you, you will never develop because you don't know where you've been, let alone know why you're in your position now and where you're going. We know nothing about ourselves. How many African scientists do we know about? Architects, doctors.
But you have really touched upon something so deep, but it almost sounds like, oh, it's just a talk. It's just talk, but it's not. Embracing who you are means that that's what you're going to teach your children.
Yes. Yep.
When you don't embrace yourself, you are just teaching your children not to either. Absolutely. Everything, I can tell you how many children who have seen Black Santa Claus and said, man, you're not black, you're not Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not black. Well, what have they been taught? That the person who's kind and generous doesn't even have to know you, but will give you anything your heart desires just because you've been a good child is who? A white man.
The white guy. Yeah.
You know, and for those of you who hear what I'm saying, this is not a racist comment. I don't hate white people. I don't hate Asians. I don't hate Mexicans. I don't hate black. I don't hate anybody. But when truth comes to, when I have to speak truth to power, I have to speak it. Now, how you take it is up to you. The intention is to present the truth and facts.
Yeah.
Now, your responsibility is to accept or not accept. You see what I'm saying? All right?
Yeah.
If you look at what we are teaching our children willfully, see, you can't talk about what people are doing to you when you allow it to be done to you. You can celebrate Christmas. Why not? Celebrate Christmas. But Africanize it so that your children can see themselves as something.
Yeah,
you see somebody
else.
If you don't want to celebrate Christmas, celebrate Kwanzaa so that your children can see themselves in it. But however you choose to live your life, you must incorporate some Africanness into it so that the children that will be promoting their culture know something about it because you're teaching it and they're seeing it. But as long as you're presenting to them something that is not cultural to them, that's what they're going to promote. When you leave this earth, your children will promote what you left behind, like it or not. How many of our children do we take to go and look for eggs laid by some white rabbit?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with anything? A white rabbit running around with eggs, colored eggs. And our children, to celebrate Easter, they have to be dressed in their Easter clothes, and mom and dad gives them a little basket, and they go in the field with all.
What has the egg got to do with the bunny anyway?
Children looking for some eggs. But remember, who's presenting that egg doesn't look like anything they know. Even the cartoons are prejudiced.
Yeah.
So there's this white rabbit that's putting eggs everywhere. Our children get used to that. They embrace that. We teach them that that Christ is white. We teach them that Santa Claus is white. We teach them that now I don't blame any white person for teaching their children that. That's their right. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm white, why wouldn't I teach my children that Jesus is white or that Santa Claus is white? That's who they are.
Yeah. I just don't have to talk this like a black child.
There's nothing racist about that. They are teaching our children to appreciate themselves. You can't get mad at that. Good for them. Teach them that the bunny rabbit is white. Teach them that the Santa Claus is white. Teach them that Jesus is white. Hello, hello, hello. Teach them whatever. That's your culture. Teach them that. But my question is not them. My question is you. What are you teaching your own? Don't get mad at somebody for teaching their own to stand up and feel good and proud about who they are. Then you call that racism. No, ain't nothing racist about that.
No, Teach your own.
That's who their children are. That's who they are. That's what they're teaching. But you want them to drop what they're teaching to make it good for your children when you can actually teach your
children. That's their teaching. Go find you.
Go teach your children your own thing.
Yeah.
Embrace your own things. Don't sit here and say it's racist or Jesus. That's their thing. It can be anything.
And I never understood that. Fighting for somebody else's stuff. It just makes no sense.
Take the mind of a child. When my daughter was a little one, they called me from the school to tell me, oh, I must come. She was 3 years old. I had to race to daycare. I thought something had happened. You have to come, you have to come, you have to come. Okay, I dropped everything I was going and raced to school. And I said, what's the emergency? Ma'am, you need to sit down for this. Okay, I'm thinking my child is dead. What is wrong? They presented me with a piece of paper showing where my 3-year-old colored a dog blue. So I said, okay, I see that. What's the issue? She said, ma'am, don't you see it? I said, see what? Your daughter colored the dog blue. So, is that what I'm here for? Yes. Dogs are now blue. The teacher said she could have colored it white or could have colored it black or brown, but she chose to color it blue. I looked at the paper and I said, can you get her? That was Adora. She was 3. I said, bring Adora. Adora, honey, why did you color your dog blue? See, Adora could read at 3. She says, oh, because she says that Spot says to come and play. If he can talk, he can be blue. I looked at the teacher. She stood there frozen. I said, you told her that the dog can talk. And you're surprised that he's blue?
I know that's right.
She says, she, the 3-year-old, says, dogs don't talk. So it's an imaginary dog. So in my imagination, I'm blue. What's the issue? So she skipped away. I told her, go on, baby. So she skipped away. And I looked at the teacher. I said, is there anything else I can do for you today? She sighed. She says, no, ma'am, thank you. I'm so sorry I called you to come here. We can create and teach our children to create their own reality. But this person wanted it to be her reality, not Adora's reality. It had to be her reality. That's why they teach them that Jesus is this color, God is this color, and if anything is outside of that, it's not right. And Judy, what do? We embrace that.
Yeah.
We embrace that, and then we teach our children to say that that's not Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not black. Because we, not them. Because if your child is seeing you believe in that story, then it's true. Then Santa Claus can't be black. Because you yourself is teaching him that. You're teaching them what they are promoting. Then you wonder why your child is confused and hates himself or herself. Religion plays a role in how we see the world. Each and every day, we are asked to be just a little bit wiser and smarter in our relationship with the world. And the only way we can do that is to act on our faith. Iyanla Van Zandt wrote about that. Act on your faith. That is how you see the world. So what is your faith? What is your faith? What does your faith teach? Does your faith teach you to embrace all that you are? Does your faith teach you that you're not the only living being or living thing in this world, that everything else deserves to be recognized as significant? Do you do that? Does your faith teach you that? Or does your faith tell you everything you need to know is in this book? Forget everything else. We as Africans, we cannot complain about what other people are telling us. You can't, because they have as much right to promote what they believe as you have the right to promote what your ancestors gave you. Act on your faith, the faith that is close to who you are, the faith that tells you there's nothing wrong with you, the faith that tells you that from you to the divine, there's no distance. That faith that says right where you are the embodiment of the divine. You're the temple of the divine. If you are the temple of the divine, then the divine must look like you. And if you're white and you're the temple of the divine, then the divine must look like you. It doesn't matter what our race is, but we have to see our world from our own perspective, from where we stand, and not allow people to promote theirs while they undermine ours. And when we accept it, when we accept other people's designation of what is and what should and what should not be, we are letting people shoot on us. You know what that is? To allow people to shoot on you?
No, what is that?
Do you know what that is?
No.
When you allow people to shoot on you, that means that you allow them to say, you should do this, you shouldn't do that.
Okay.
Pardon me. But we need to be in the habit of pouring libations every day. If you're not doing that at the moment, you need to start. Pour libations every day to acknowledge the presence of the Most High in you. Pour libations every day to acknowledge the ancestors, thousands and thousands of them, without whom you wouldn't be here today. Acknowledge them. Pardon me. Pour libations to honor those ancestors who have made it to ancestorhood, those who died at age 80, who continue to be your divine. Somebody's trying to reach. Is that me or you?
No, it's me. It's Kama from Nigeria.
Oh, okay. So it's important that when we talk about pouring the libations, do it every day. Trust me, when you do that every day, you will feel the connection. We must practice that. We are God to each other. Because only through us does anybody get blessings, no matter how much we pray. If we cannot begin to practice the way our ancestors practiced, then we cannot complain about what other people are doing to us, because we are allowing it to be done. If you're not for what you seek, so shall you find. If you're talking about that you want to embrace, you want African people to form unity, to become unified, how do we find unity if we're not practicing what our ancestors gave us? How do we find unity if we don't see the good, the God in each other? How do we find unity when we allow other people to make us think that who we are is less than? The world is a serendipity, survival of the fittest. You cannot fault the lion for coming after you when you stand there and allow yourself to be devoured and your children to be devoured. Have you ever watched elephants? Yudi, have you ever watched elephants when their children are being attacked by a lion?
Oh man, how you say, they throw caution to the wind
and leave their babies, but not an elephant. No. All of them will come together.
The whole clan will
together. And that elephant and that lion gets the message.
Yeah.
You know, this is not the place. There's no dinner for me from here. That little elephant, I can't get to it. But we think about what I just said, Dibia Yudi. We are in the Serengeti, and the lions, they are prowling around our children in the classrooms, filling their heads with nonsense. And you're not there. And when they come home, what do you do, Yudi? What do? Do your homework.
Reinforce.
Do your homework. Re-emphasizing whatever nonsense.
We just reinforce whatever crap they learned in school and all that, and just take them to church on Sunday.
We don't rally around our people. So I'm going to end my conversation for a moment to let you jump in. And this is what I want to say. Don't ever complain about what anybody's doing when you're allowing it.
Yep.
Don't.
I mean, what does it take to wake up?
You think it's okay for them to do all of that? Then don't complain. You're giving people the impetus. You're giving them the right to do whatever they want to do to your children. But you cannot blame them for wanting to do what they'll have to do. But you have to prepare yourself to do what needs to be done for yourself, for your children, for your community. Peace and unity can only happen if we know who we are, if we embrace our culture, if we embrace the divine from our own perspective, if we honor our children by teaching them the right thing and reaching out to each other when we're suffering. Otherwise, there's no peace. It ain't gonna happen. Yudi, take it away.
I mean, absolutely. You cannot blame people for doing things to you that you allow them to do. You know, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. I think it's safe to say that people of African ancestry all over the world understand what happened to them in terms of colonization or slavery, but don't have the full story. What they have is narrative that is, how do I say, promoted by people that don't want those affected to get the right perspective. And we as Africans don't have the right perspective, you know, in terms of our condition in the world today and why, you know, things are not working out the way it should work out, you know. And the reason for that is simply because of the fact that there's a Western mindset in the way we govern ourselves in Africa, even in Black communities all over the world, you know, disengaging or disassociating ourselves with our history, our past, our culture, what makes us primordially African, right? Which is in your spirituality, your religion, your worldview, you know, how you saw the world when you recognize that you were not responsible for the life-sustaining forces milling around you. So religion became automatic, which simply means a duty that a person feels compelled to perform in reverence to something greater than themselves, and that something is the Almighty Creator who is responsible for the natural forces that keeps man and woman alive. So religion becomes automatic. We don't have that understanding of what religion is. We think religion is about the philosophers themselves, but they're not. Religion is a duty. Regardless of what the philosophy is, it's just a recognition of something greater than yourself. Once you have that recognition, religion becomes automatic in you. So it brings us back to the ultimate question. Education. You need forum like Chisholm Live, you know, speakers like Lumumba. There's a whole lot of Africans, you know, out here today that see the world the way we do, at least in terms of us uniting, understanding what happened to Africa, understanding why it has been difficult for us to take our rightful place in the universe and evolve naturally like every other world community did that were not interfered with. We were interfered with. So it's not up to us to understand, recognize that, and figure out how to get up out of this mess that we find ourselves in, especially with the way the world is now. Education is key. And that is something that we really need to emphasize and understand that. Because if we understand our history, where we come from, and understand that education allows you to fit squarely into the society that you belong to, because you've been given the tools within the context of that society, within its primordial core, within its science, it's religion, it's medicine, it's politics, it's military. Within all the aspects involved in nation formation, nation building, and nation management, things that we did before the Europeans came, that should be part of the curriculum in the kindergarten, in primary school, in high schools, and the universities. We need to start teaching this journey. Our genesis. How did it begin? How did we end up all over the world? Was it because of just slavery? Was it because we were adventurers? We were actually in the West Indies trading with them before the Europeans, came to the Americas, before the Columbuses and the Cortezes. Were Africans here trading, intermarrying, deciding to stay instead of going back to Africa? We were trading in the Indies and the West before Africans were enslaved and colonized. How many Africans know that? How many of us know that history? I mean, how many Africans even know that the light bulb was a black person responsible for it? I mean, what are we teaching? How many people knew that the first flight recorded was a black person in a balloon? There are so many discoveries and so many things to make our children, to make black folks feel proud about being African. To help us understand why we're disjointed, to help us understand why the African is in Jamaica, why he's in Haiti, why he's here in the United States, why he's in Britain. What happened? This is part of the history, the journey that we should be teaching. But most black kids don't know that. Even people of my generation have no clue about a lot of stuff that we talk about, because they themselves went to Catholic schools, Anglican schools, minds corrupted. Fortunately for us, at least me, my family, we had who grounded us in our primordial core. I'm African through and through, man. My spirit, my God, my religion, my spirituality, my skin tone, my mindset, my name, everything about me is African. I just exist in this world out here because I'm not in the homeland. If I was in the homeland, I'll be doing the same thing I'm doing right here. There's no difference. I'll be wearing the same clothes. I have that sign up there behind me. I'm not African and talk about Africa because I'm not in Africa. It's not because I miss home. It's because it's a duty that I feel, like religion, a duty that I feel I'm compelled to be part of the solution, to be part of the discussion, to offer solutions and ideas that maybe one day we shall truly overcome. And every black person, man or woman, should feel that way, should have that mindset. But it's only possible if you're rightfully or correctly educated, if you understand how we got here in the first place, if we understand why Africa doesn't look better than Dubai. Why is there no Wakanda? Funny thing about it is, it actually took a white guy, Mr. Lee, Stan Lee, Marvel Comics, to write about the Black Panther and create Wakanda. They did that. Why can't we do stuff like that? I remember, okay, you remember when we were kids, we used to read about Tarzan, right?
Uh-huh.
Tarzan Bondolo was my thing as a child. But I can unequivocally tell you that when Fearless Frank dropped, when Boom dropped, and he was the guy fighting the lions, and he was the guy riding the elephants, he was the guy swinging from tree to tree, and he was
we were
black.
proud.
I was proud. I didn't mind swinging from tree to tree as long as it was me who was the king
No,
of my own.
no, yes, you did. You broke a few bones trying to be.
Yeah, I mean, I did. That's true. But what I'm saying is, I didn't mind being Tarzan and swinging from tree to tree as long as I'm swinging from trees in my own jungle and not a European swinging in my own tree, talking to my own gorillas, speaking to my own lions, talking to a black mamba, a carpet python, a tiger, a hyena. Hell, he's got a harem of gorillas. But the African in Africa can't even talk to his own damn dog, let alone a baboon. Okay? So I used to read a lot of spy stuff until, guess what? I discovered Lance Spearman. Once I discovered Lance Spearman and found that a black guy can also be a cool detective, can throw a point, smoke a cigar, and come up with some really cool, how you say, slogans or whatever, like, take that, you steel skulled ape. Take this, you molten-headed jellyfish. You know, it was cool because I saw black folks doing ancient things or modern things. The same thing that I saw white folks doing, now I'm seeing a black person doing it. I gravitated towards the black person and I said to myself, guess what? We're just as sophisticated as these guys are. And I felt a lot of pride in that. We should do the same thing. Promote things that are African. They didn't give us anything. And if they even gave us something, which I'm sure, if you follow the process of cross-cultural pollination, communities, societies borrow from others, change it up a little bit, something they can use to make their lives a little better. There's nothing wrong with that. It's called cross-cultural pollination. It's as old as humanity's existence. All right? People cross borders, they intermarry. We do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it is imperative that we teach our history, because our history will let us understand exactly what our character is, what our makeup is, why we think and do things the way we do it, why we are very spiritual, why we are very loving, why we've given the world over 80% of its culture. Do you know what's going on right now? You remember this Nigerian music, the way it sounds, all those Nigerian music? Guess what? European artists, white artists are now making Nigerian music. Guess what? Korean and Chinese artists are now making, in fact, there's a Korean guy with a new Nigerian song that he just made. He's blowing up on the internet, right? People love, the African-American culture is probably the most pervasive culture in the world. I mean, people just borrow just about everything from them, coupled with some of the African culture that is already in them because they are Africans. Then they mix it up the way they mix it up over here and put it back out here. And even Africans, we borrow and we dig on that stuff. I used to love everything African-American when we were kids. You know that? We loved everything. The narrative has always been that Africans don't like African-Americans. That ain't true. I don't know any African-Americans that went to Africa. How many of them went to Africa and came back and said, oh man, African people were horrible to me? No. They always have the best time. I Show Speed just went to Africa and came back. He got more love from Black Africans than anywhere else he went to. You know, doing his podcast and all that. You know, his stream.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
There's a lot about us that needs to be imparted into the young people. And it's only through the educational process that that can happen. But thankfully, we have forums like ours. We have other programs out here trying to do the same thing, educate our people, give us a little sense of pride, give us something to embrace. Teach the young, even the old. Teach them, like we have done today, like we did with Dr. Kwame. Teach people, let them learn, hear this stuff. If we continue to do it, perhaps some government agency somewhere will pick up on it and then decide, you know, we need to change the educational system in Africa and emphasize a little bit more of African stuff, discoveries, than European. Because in China, they learn more about Chinese heroes than European heroes. In Japan, in India, they do the same thing. We need to do the same thing and find something that we all have in common as people of African ancestry and embrace it, like Chiism and an African calendar. That's my bit.
Thank you. Thank you, Dibia Yudi. We are Alekale. You know what that is? Alekale.
Okay, Billy.
Gebili.
Yep.
Alekali Gebili. It goes like this. Nikechuku, Nikechuku, Alekali Gebili. Nikechuku, Nikechuku, Alekali Gebili. Alekali Gebili.
Yep.
By the power of the Most High, the struggling shall rise, particularly when you were at the mountaintop, you fell down the valley. Now you've got to climb back up. See, when you're on top and you fall, when you're in the valley, how much lower can you go? You can't.
True.
You can't go any lower. So, Alikali Gebili, though you have fallen, you must rise again.
Amen.
You must climb back up to that mountain.
You
can't stay there. Les Brown said, it is not the falling that's the problem. It is what you do after the fall. Try falling on your back, because if you can look up, you can definitely get back up.
He said,
if you fall face down and you stay face down, you're dead. But if you can look up, you can get back up. So this is where we are as African people. It's time to rise again. It's time to rise again. You don't rise by putting other people down. That is not the point. We don't rise by hating others. That's not the point. We rise by reaffirming ourselves, reaffirming all that we are, all that we are, God is, all that is noble, we are. This is our divine inheritance. We just need to claim it again. That's all. We just need to reclaim our divine inheritance.
That's it.
If humanity and civilization began in Africa, that means we had a lot of stuff. But we can't complain about the people who took it from us. We must complain about those who continue to allow other people to take it from us. And those people are who? Us. Look in the mirror. That person that you're hating, that person you're saying did this, that, the other. Look in the mirror and make sure it's not your vision that shows up in the mirror.
Yep.
Make sure it's not your image showing up in that mirror. Because a lot of what's going on in our world, we are the ones doing it. Because we have failed to reaffirm who we are.
Yep.
To reaffirm the blessing of the ancestors, the blessings of the divine.
We don't see God. We don't see in each other. That's why when we kill each other, pop. I was watching this, and you know what, Yudi? Didn't there used to be a time that when people got mad at each other, you men, you put up your dukes. Yeah.
Isn't that right? Come on over here. You see some men beat each other, and then one, when the other one is tired, it's like, peace, my brother. I've lost. Okay, let's move on. You didn't seek to take the life.
Only if you're European.
But see, when I say we return back to our old ways, it doesn't mean that when we fight, that is the end of life. It doesn't have to be that. I remember your parents when you come crying. Try that with my dad. Here you come crying. Somebody beat you, and he says, "Who beat you?" And you say, "So and so beat me." And then he says, "Does he have a horn on his head?" No. Is he a human like you? No. Why didn't you fight him back? Why are you coming home crying?
Yep.
So you go back next time. You box him. Dad would tell you.
I will never forget it. That's why I never lost a fight in my life.
Not even if you're a girl. My dad didn't want to hear that. Do you remember when he made me fight that tall student at school? He told me, "Don't you dare come back here. Don't you dare come back here." And I'm telling him, he's so big. He's going to beat me. He says, "Does he have a horn on his head? If he's a child like you, then you fight back." We need to fight back. Not necessarily by shooting each other. We don't need to do that.
All he's saying is stand up for yourself. That's really what it is.
Stand up for yourself. Put your dukes up, you say. You know, don't snuff the life out of a person. That's not what we used to do. That is not our culture, to beat the person until he has no more brains.
You think that's bad?
You fight until the person gives up and say, "Okay, I lost." And then that's it. Even when they went to war, right? When the people gave up, they took them home to their villages as people they captured, not dead bodies. They didn't bring the dead bodies home. They didn't do that. It's the people they captured. Yes, I beat you. You're now mine. Come on. I'm taking you to my village. And sometimes after a while, after you served in the village, what happens to you? You become part of the village. Yep. You just expand in the village. You know, but now what do we do?
Become chief.
Yeah, you become chief. Now what do we do? What do we do as a people? When somebody annoys us, you say, "I'll be right back." Next thing you know, he goes to his car or to his house
and ends it right there.
And ends the person's life. Why? You cannot certainly believe in the divine when you believe in taking somebody's life. Because if you believe that we are the temple of the divine, then why would you take a life? You just took Chineke's temple away. And how do you think you're going to be smiled upon? How do you think, or why would you think things will go well for you after doing all of that? Destruction does not bring anything but defeat ultimately for any human being. Ultimately, you will pay the price for all your evil ways. Now, there are times, Yudi, let's not be naive. There are times that we get angry. Yes, there's nothing wrong with being angry. There's some times that you're so mad at somebody, you just want to, yes. But taking that life must never be part of your thought.
That's a different thing.
It must never be. But that's what it is now. Because we don't believe in the ways of our ancestors, we think the way to end somebody's life. Because, you know, after all, if I kill him, hey, somebody's died for my sin. I'm already forgiven. There are no penalties.
What difference does it make? In fact, they will tell you that God asked you to go do the killing.
You know, you there, and then after you do the killing, you go and drink and say, well, you know, then you praise God that you survived it.
Yeah.
Really?
God was with you. God was in there for you to do.
All we're talking about here is that there's nothing wrong with believing that you and the Creator are one. Monachiso, I am one with the Creator. There lies your power. There lies your power. If you go to make a presentation somewhere and you say to yourself, Monachiso, I am one. There's nowhere, Dibia, you did that I go today that I bow down to anyone. There's nowhere that you put me, you ask me to speak. I don't care who's in the audience that I cannot speak. Because in my mind, in my spiritual tradition, I know, Monachiso, I am one with the Creator. And if you're one with the Creator, what does that mean? You got power. Yeah. You got power. You can overcome any challenge. It gives you faith in your ability to succeed in anything. Once you acknowledge Monachiso. That's the power of no believing in the divine, not aside from you, but with you at all times. That's the power of believing in that you come from a line of successful human beings. And that wisdom is still within your power to access through the power of your spirit, just for being. You are a part of great individuals that you never knew, but they set the path, and that path is already laid for you. All you have to do now is walk. All you have to do now is just be. The time is against us, UD. Time for us to leave. And UD, if you have you don't even have 1 minute. You got 2 seconds to leave a message so that we can end this program today.
Yeah. Key to success for us as people of African ancestry is unity. Umoja. Idinotu. Let's practice that. Let's see our common struggle, whether you're Jamaican, Nigerian, or what have you. Black is beautiful. So yes, let's unite.
And so it is. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Dibia UD, and certainly to Baba Kwame Kalimara. Thank you so much for all of you who have joined us today. Remember, the way you support us is not just to watch us. The way you support us is to subscribe to our website, to the Chism Live on YouTube. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for always supporting us. We don't care how many. We believe, Dibia Yudi, where 2 or more people are gathered, Chineke is there. So was here today and participated in this conversation. Thank you. Corporal no udoke ganaf.
He said,
let it be nothing but goodness. I'll follow you wherever you go today, tomorrow, and forevermore. And so it is. Yagazeno, until we see you in 2 weeks' time on Chism Live, the Dibia Round Table. Give me a second.